Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure you do that now. Don't forget to tap the bell for notifications so you know the second we upload a new video or when we're going live. Hit that thumbs up for me, leave a comment below, and share this with your friends. Now, here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy, Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
Morning, everybody. It's your girl, Jackie Ray. You can follow me on all social media at JRayTheFanatic.
Hey, guys. It's your girl, Britt. You can follow me on all social media at IamBrittJohnson.
Britt, we missed you on Friday. How was your weekend?
It was good. I'm still tired. I mean, I really just slept by the pool and laid out and drank wine all weekend. So it was a good weekend. It was my best friend's birthday, so it was fun.
Oh, dope.
Nice.
Relaxing.
Yes.
Oh, happy birthday. Good. Jackie, how weekend? How did you feel? Actually, I need to reframe my question. How do you feel after last night?
I mean, we're obviously going to get into that. I'm actually okay. I said it'd be a gentleman's sweep, so we'll talk more about it later. But I'm okay. I'm good.
Anything fun over the weekend?
We did I don't know what's going on with this fight. Are you asking me? Because I heard Jackie again. I don't know if I'm glitching.
I said Chris, but I would love to hear from you too, Jackie.
Spill, girl.
We did 5 a.m. karaoke. That's what, so next time you're going to have to come, Devin. I extended the invite. You're welcome to come. So, and then I can film it, and then the people can finally get their Titanic video.
Yes.
You can sing near, far, wherever you are, and that'll suffice.
I will sing My Heart Will Go On. I did ask you for details, Jackie, about your last Lakers get-together, and you didn't answer, so I was ghosted.
Oh,
Did I ghost you? Did I really?
You ghosted me.
Damn, I did not mean to do that. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
It's okay. It was on Slack, and I feel like messages get missed on Slack all the time. Don't worry about it. But Chris, how was your weekend?
My Saints won, so we're good. We back on the boards. My fantasy team, I scored damn near 200 points this week. Things were good this week for me. 'Cause I told you it was just a sports weekend for me, and everything went well for me. So I'm cool.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm glad everybody had a nice weekend. Jackie got her karaoke in. Britt had her wine by the pool. Chris was watching his sports. I worked pretty much the entire weekend, but I did get to watch the game. So that was fun. All right, you guys, let's jump into the first and only need-to-know news story that we have today. So on Sunday, ESPN's Jackie McMullen published an in-depth look at the various ways in which Rondo has impacted the Lakers and other teams over his NBA career. Her article highlights his willingness to speak his mind, and they say that that's one of his greatest assets. Apparently, Rondo called out LeBron last season for having poor body language and said that he was setting a bad example. So Jackie wrote, the Lakers cited Rondo's IQ when they signed him, then quickly learned his willingness to challenge the best as an unexpected bonus. Amid a frustrating 2018-2019 season, Rondo noted James souring on the young players and immediately confronted him. Apparently, Rondo said, quote, when guys are making the same mistakes over and over, it's hard to bite your tongue, but I tried to get LeBron to focus on his body language. Those young guys were looking at everything he did. If they missed 4 shots in a row and LeBron was making a face, it was crushing to them. He was their Michael Jordan. They didn't want to let him down, but if LeBron said one thing positive to Brandon Ingram or Kyle Kuzma, they immediately were back to their old selves. So that just proves the power that LeBron holds, especially over these younger players. But I did think it's interesting to learn that Rondo is willing to kind of confront the superstar of the team and say, you're not doing your job appropriately right now. So Jackie, I want to ask you about this. Does she make a good point in this article about Rondo's value to the team?
Yeah, I read this as well, and I actually love this because I don't think no matter how big you get, you need that person in your life. You know, if you have a best friend, you need that best friend that'll check you and call you out on your BS. If you constantly have a yes man, you'll never grow and you'll never get better. I can't say that I necessarily noticed LeBron scowling at Kuzma and Brandon Ingram, probably because I was scowling at the same time. So I probably missed it because of that. But at the same time, if the situation had been reversed and I was in that situation, I would expect, you, Devin, or Britt or Chris to say, yo, Jackie, get it together, because this is where you're faltering. Because especially if we're on the same team and we have the same goal, it's your job. If I'm not doing something right, you're supposed to call me out on that. So I love Rondo for this. And we've definitely seen a change. We've definitely seen, LeBron saying, hey, if you fall, your brother will pick you up. And we've seen him really kind of give Kyle Kuzma a lot of praise. So I think a lot of that is probably attributed to him saying, oh, you know what, Rondo, you're probably right, And so I love this. And I love that they have that relationship where he feels comfortable in saying, yo, man, get it together. I thought this was really good.
Yeah, it kind of goes along with what we were talking about on Friday with Kyrie's video, and the way people were interpreting that as shade to LeBron. When you're united with the same vision, the goal becomes much easier to accomplish. So I can see why Rondo's statements and kind of like checking LeBron actually really did end up impacting how the team was able to work together. So Britt, I want to ask you, how important is it for teammates to call out their leaders if they are falling short on the job?
Oh, I think it's very important. And this isn't Rondo's first rodeo. He had to deal with 3 big stars when he was with them with the Celtics and stuff, which took them to a championship that year, So I think his just presence on a team has, even historically up till now, has been great. We all know he has a great IQ for basketball. I wouldn't be surprised if he became a head coach immediately following his career, because he's just that type of guy that's been good at pulling whatever he needs to pull out of players. And obviously we know he has one of the better IQs in basketball. So I think it's clutch in moments like this, because you can have situations where teams could eventually start to turn into what the Cavs were, with Kyrie wanting to leave and this whole thing, not getting along with Kevin Love and having all that situation there. And then that could have ended up being the Lakers, because last year the Lakers did not make the playoffs, So, and they are a relatively young team, So I think even bringing Rondo in just to change up the dynamic, and he is a vet too, and he's been in the league for a long time, and he's won championships too, or a championship too. To have him come in and then be like, hey, bro, because they're IQ wise and they're vet wise is on the same level, and they're all talking to the young guys and just calming LeBron down a little bit, because LeBron wants everyone to be like him, and everybody to work as hard as he does, or be as big and strong and fast as he is. And we're not all LeBron James, So I think just to bring people down a little bit because of those situations like that, I think is great for Rondo to do, or anybody to do, to have another vet on the team that can kind of simmer somebody down if they need to, or pick other people up if they need to, is clutch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I imagine that for some people, it's probably intimidating to go up to somebody like LeBron and say, you need to do better. Your body language is setting a bad example. So I respect Rondo for doing that. And I also agree that is necessary. Chris, did you notice a noticeable difference in the way LeBron talked about or to his teammates from last season to this season?
Oh yeah, for sure. It also probably helped when you bring in a lot more guys that are at your level, because you got a lot more of experience this year compared to last year. But definitely can see the patience because you still have Kuzma. They got the Quinn Cooks and Taylor Horton Tucker, who's been playing. He's been very supportive of him. They've all been supportive of the younger players that they do have. You can definitely see that it's a different energy for sure. But like Jackie, I don't think it was that bad, but I'm sure there was moments where, in practices and, scrimmages and stuff like that, you could probably tell behind the scenes that he was just this dude, Kyle Kuzma, spun off of his foot one more time. I'm going to lose my mind. And Rajon Rondo had to come and say something. So, I think, for Rondo to come in, and like Britt said, this is nothing new to him, dealing with personalities like Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. I think that definitely builds the character for him to have no fear to come and say something to LeBron James, even though he is LeBron James. So definitely saw a difference in energy this year, and it helped, and it's working.
Yep.
Yeah, it is working. It is working. So let's talk about the upcoming game. I want to hear, does anybody change their predictions as to the outcome of this series? Jackie, I think you're sticking with the gentleman's sweep, right?
Sticking with the gentleman's sweep. Yep.
Okay. Anyone else? Britt?
I know.
No, and not
Sticking
you,
to my
Chris.
six.
Okay.
Sticking to my six. Yeah.
No one's changing their predictions. Okay, so, then Chris, I want to ask you, do you think the Heat is going to make another comeback in Game 4? What do you think is going to happen?
The Heat can only get healthier, and then we saw the Heat surprise the Lakers in Game 3. So, I think you can only expect at least one other game like the one we just saw, if not a full series where the Heat understands how serious and how intense that they need to play from the first minute to the last minute, and they can't play this whole comeback stuff anymore. They can't do that. They got to be tough from the jump. So I think it's very possible that we could see the Heat that everyone was expecting before Game 1 to come back into the mix of things. Because like I said, they can only get healthier. They still got Bam and Goran in the back waiting to hopefully make an appearance again in the finals. So we'll see what happens. So no, I feel like this could definitely be a turn for sure.
I thought Goran was out.
Right.
Like, I thought his injury was like, he's done for the rest of the series.
They keep listing him as doubtful. They keep every game. They keep saying it's doubtful, but there's a potential.
His injury seems a little bit more severe than Bam's
KD-like.
So
It seems very KD-like, but they're not. They're not placing it. They're just doing the same. They're saying it's the Cavs. They're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing to KD. I hope that. Yeah, I think he should stay out.
Well, I mean, just for like mental purposes, I think they should keep doing it. I don't think they should say that he's out
100%,
because it right on their toes in that sense. Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, Jackie, I guess the final question that I need to ask before we wrap up Need to Know News is what adjustments do the Lakers need to make in order to still take home the win in this series?
I mean, first of all, the turnovers were a big thing last night. And then you need to understand that, and I'll talk about it a little in what we're not going to do, but they need to understand, especially like someone like AD, he only scored 15. Not a big problem with me for him scoring 15, but he was lacking in the rebound area. He was lacking in the assist area. So if you're having an off night, you do have to make that up on the other side of the court. So there are just some things that they could do personally. They weren't really themselves at that moment. Like I said, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more and what we're not going to do. But they literally just have to – I 100% agree with AD when he said they'll be fine because they literally kind of shot themselves in the foot, this game. But y'all need to stop that damn petition about Kyle Kuzma, though. I'm going to say that petition is ridiculous. It's inappropriate, especially when you got – I'm only scoring 2 points a game. If that Danny Green, y'all need to stop it. Yeah, stop it.
I know. I think Chris,
Lakers players this season. Considering there's only 15 guys on the team. Well, there's a lot of Lakers players this season.
Right.
I know the Lakers fans are showing the worst sides of themselves right now. I didn't like that petition either, and I didn't sign it, Jackie. I can confidently say you certainly did not sign it. So just know that there are some good Lakers.
Chris is looking away like he signed it. Look at Chris.
But Hart can sign the Danny Green one, though. Let's just be clear there.
Oh, I would start the Danny Green one. I would pay for ads to promote the Danny Green one. I would buy him new luggage myself if it meant
Lincoln bio.
Oh my Lincoln bio. Chill out. No.
Okay, everyone can head to Jackie's Instagram after the show for that one, but I don't want to co-sign on that one. I want everyone to be confident going into Game 4, so I don't want any negative petitions going out right now. I need everybody's focus. Okay, you guys, well, that wraps up Need to Know News. So, Chris, what's coming up in the post-up?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for post-up with your boy Chris, Quarantine Edition, and we are going to stay with the tune of the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Heat in Game 3 because there was a lot that happened inside of that game as well as, just the basketball part of it. And the big moment, we're going to have to start from the top because I am really curious to hear what Jackie has to say about this. But the moment that everybody's been talking about, and that was the moment where LeBron James decided to walk out of the game like he was on the Detroit Pistons versus the Bulls, because there was about 10 seconds left on the clock at the end of the game. And LeBron James, as you can see in the top right corner, my man said, yeah, I'm cool on all this. I'm good. So they had 4 players on the court. They had to stop it so they could get another player in. It's Danny Green who checks in. You know, I think that's like Jackie's like nightmare, you know, subbing in Danny Green for LeBron James. Oh, God. Like, that's what had to happen. Even at that moment where it worked out. But anyways, but regardless, so he went off, and then that was a big hullabaloo on the internet, because everybody was like, "Is this your king? This is your GOAT?" And I see it on both sides, because I get it. I understand why people are reacting the way they are, because, you know, LeBron James shouldn't be a sore loser. Take it on the chin, move on, go on to the next game and whatnot. But at the same time, I didn't really have a problem with it, but I'm really curious it doesn't matter what I think, because I'm really curious to hear what Jackie Ray has to say about this, because like I said, damn near every comment and every response has been people just going in on LeBron James, talking about, see, this is why he can't be no GOAT, blah, 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 and all the kind of talk and slander and whatnot when it came to LeBron James. So I have to, Jackie Ray, the floor is yours. How did you feel about this moment? Do you think that LeBron should not have done it? Or do you feel like, okay, I get it. Like, how did you feel seeing LeBron step out with 10 seconds left on the clock in the game, causing the delay
first of all,
on top of that?
So first of all, people need to watch, because if you watch, he's looking at Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel is sending in Danny Green to sub. I couldn't see that side, like why it took so long for Danny Green to come in. But he looks at Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel points to Danny Green. So LeBron knows that Danny Green is coming up in for him. He walks out, notices that Danny Green isn't on the court. So he stops, looks back at the court until Danny Green gets on the floor, and then he walks out. He didn't walk out, just, you know, there was some delay. I have no idea what that is. That was the delay that prevented Danny Green from getting on the floor quicker. But after that, once your sub is in, I mean, if you're ready to be out, be out. I mean, I could care less about, you know, these comments after that. Once the boy is in there to sub you out, if you don't feel like that moment, and that was a frustrating game, because like I said, there was a lot of mistakes on behalf of the Lakers. Shouts out to Jimmy Buckets. He had a fantastic game. Yeah, that aside, though, the Lakers literally shot themselves in the foot that game. So if you're frustrated and your guy subs you in, then be out. People say what they're going to say anyway, so that should never be a deterrent to anything you do. People are going to say whatever they say, so.
Yeah, and I always hate the phrase, you know, this team didn't lose, this team didn't win, this team beat themselves. I always hate that, because it always discredits what the other team is doing. But if there was any time where I would use that, it would be this game, because to have, by halftime, to have damn near 14 turnovers and still only be down by 4 points, the Lakers could have still made do with this game, but they kept killing themselves to the point where they got to where they were, and the Heat capitalized and won in that game. And hate to give that credit to Lakers, but in this situation, I'm going to have to. But yeah, no, I agree. That's the part I feel like is missed, is what you had said. People don't want to look at the fact that Danny Green was on the side, ready to check in. Now, LeBron stepping off while they were still on the court and time was going down. Sure, you can have the opinion that you want, but I mean, this is also a very common practice that you see all the time when dudes are shooting free throws and a guy knows he's going to sub out. They'll typically go and sit down the bench and wait for the guy to check. It happens all the time, but I get it. We all know LeBron James, anything he does, any move he makes is going to be scrutinized, and that's the same situation right here. I don't really have a problem with it, but we still had more from that game that I do want to talk about, and that was the petition that Devin may have mentioned a little bit earlier. Now, for you guys to assume that I signed that, that's rude. Okay, I would never. All, you made ever. The face. I don't know what face.
Did I sign a
face? Jackie, I don't know what you're talking about.
Devin, Britt, am I wrong? Did you not see the face?
No, I can't.
I thought it was face because Devin took his post up.
Right. Yeah.
I'm supposed to be talking about that. That's why I thought he made the face.
I thought he made the face because he was the first signature on the list.
Well, that's rude for you to assume something like that, because I would never try and take away somebody's great or happiness. Because if the Lakers win, he's a part of the team. He was drafted by the team, so obviously he deserves a championship. I mean, for anyone to poke some fun that a player should be, you know, not getting a ring or whatever. Yeah, I signed the petition. All right, yeah, okay. I knew it.
I knew it.
Sorry, I signed the petition.
You played all these games, and I can see
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
You you brought the worst. You were the worst. Yeah.
I saw it because look, I know how petitions work. You could have a bajillion signatures. They're not going to take the guy's ring away. So I said, let me join in the meme and I'll sign the thing. Yeah, it's not. Why not? It's there. I did it for the kicks and giggles. But regardless of that, Kyle Kuzma did respond to the petition going up and how popular it was and how many damn signatures, especially like Devin said, coming from his own fan base. This was a petition started by Laker fans, which is crazy. And a lot of my homies that are diehard Laker fans, they always have to explain to anybody whenever we have these conversations, because I'll come at them about something. They always have to explain that there's two different types of Laker fans. There's the real ones that know basketball, and there's the other ones that talk about trading Derek Fisher for a superstar. So there's two different sides to Laker fandom, and I know which one showed its head with this Kyle Kuzma stuff. But regardless, Kyle Kuzma, he had a response to the whole thing. And to be, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. I didn't hate it. There's a lot of people that thought that it was whack and this and that. I had no problem with it. I thought he was not wrong. I think, anyways, but his response to it was, he said, I honestly do not care. I dyed my hair blonde this year. I don't give a F. Twitter's for jokes. It doesn't really matter. Now, I don't know why he had to bring up his blonde hair. That was a choice.
Because we clowned it. We clowned it on the show. We clowned his hair. That one was for us.
I'd do it again, but at the same time, he could have just kept it short, saying, "I don't care. Twitter's for the birds. They can say what they want." Cool. I think that's a fair response. I don't have a problem with that. But then bringing up the blonde hair, and of course, that's what everyone pointed at. Oh, he had to bring up the blonde hair, so he felt some type of way. I don't know. So I'm gonna give Kuz a pass on this. I had no problem with that apology, but yeah, I mean, the petition was there. I signed it. I capitalized on it. Let me live.
Did you start it or did you just sign it?
I did not. I'm not that stupid. Okay. No, I'm not that stupid. I just joined in because it was me. I'm not that petty. Anyways, yeah, Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, say what you guys say. Feel your way. But speaking of Rajon Rondo that we mentioned earlier, him being that old school kind of guy. He's the call out players and whatnot. He's also the old school kind of guy that's just going to be petty whenever there's the opportunity given to him, because that's exactly what had happened in Game 3 yesterday. Because Jimmy Butler was on. He was all kinds of on. He was, eating up the energy. His teammates are gassing him up and everything. So he's at the free throw line, and he's taking his free throws, and he's just a simple, normally when a player takes the free throws, they go for the high five. Rajon Rondo wanted nothing to do with it. Nah, you ain't high five and Andre Iguodala. Nah. You saw he tried to swipe it away. Now, Rajon Rondo is going to do whatever it takes to get into anybody's head, and I'm always a fan of that kind of player. Rajon Rondo, it's just funny. I thought it was funny, but yeah, he's definitely sticking in between any of that. But it didn't work because Jimmy Butler played well. Shout out to Jimmy Butler to be the first player to be ahead of LeBron James in every single stat. That to me, that was the craziest stat line of the entire night. Like, that's incredible. All these finals he's been to, not one person did it, and that's crazy. So shout out to Jimmy Butler for doing that. That was pretty cool. Moving from that, AD. Now, he might not have played a great Game 3, but we know how his Game 1 and 2 went. He was fired. It was flawless. But maybe his shot wasn't hitting because he was so damn cold because of the ice he was wearing in his pregame. Now, not to mention, he had this dope Colin Kaepernick jersey, but he had this crazy blinged out necklace and also a watch, to the point where Quinn Cook and J.R. Smith were giving him all kinds of crap about it, and it was hilarious. Here's a video of Anthony Davis pregame, and I understand why he wasn't hitting his shot like that. Look at this.
Look at it. Rubies?
Yeah.
The rubies? Fake, myself, fake. Yeah.
So stupid. Now, here's the thing. J.R. Smith's holding a cup of coffee. You think that he went to Big Face Coffee?
Ooh.
Definitely did.
I don't know. That's the first thing I saw. I'm like, this is funny, JR. What's that? What you doing right there? What's going on in your hands right there? Oh man, I don't know. That'd be I don't know if they'd be cross-contaminating like that. That's the enemy, JR. I don't care if you're not playing. That's the enemy. But sticking to Anthony Davis, it just wasn't his game. Like, to only shoot 9 shots. He was in foul trouble the entire game. And then speaking of the young core of the Lakers, he had to do an ultimate Laker throwback, doing his impression of the Laker great Josh Hart, because he had a moment where he was denied of a high five. Kyle Kuzma had an and one. If we can get the video, Leo. Kyle Kuzma had a real nice and one, and he went over to high five everybody else on the Lakers bench. And Anthony Davis was there front and center, and he got denied. Look at Kuz, hyped up, and that's my guy. Let's get it. Give me. Missed him. All around me are familiar faces.
I love you gave it. He's like, I'll do it. I got it.
But that's the thing, Jackie. Josh Hart, who is a veteran at giving himself a self 5 after missing him, he has some notes for Anthony Davis. And to be honest, I was thinking the same thing. Anthony Davis stayed way too long thinking that Kyle Kuzma was going to come back around. No, you got to give yourself a high five and move on because you know cameras are watching. So Josh Hart said, held it too long after. Got to play it off quicker. And that's coming from the man himself who has been hit with this from damn near every player that he's ever played with. So, yes, you got to take those notes. But, yeah, I thought that was a funny moment. And, of course, they had to highlight that a few times after it happened. But it's okay, Anthony Davis. It's all good. You had a good game 1 and 2. I'm sure he's going to turn it around for sure in game 4. But we also want to talk about, we're sticking with this Lakers theme. Austin Rivers, he had some things to say about the Lakers. And he was just admitting to the fact that the Lakers were a tough team to play. Now, in the chat, there was a lot of people that were asking if they thought that this whole series was rigged. Do they think that, the NBA was tailor-making this so the Lakers can go to the finals and win and blah, 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 blah. And Austin Rivers was talking about the fact that, no, the Lakers are just that damn good. And he went to detail about how crazy and how difficult it was for that team, who we know is a smaller team, the Rockets, to go up against guys like Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, and Dwight Howard. So he started going in, talking to his barber about how rough the matchups were. So here was that back and forth. Austin, don't attack us for using this, all right? Let us have this. Okay, here it is.
Going to the basket. I got you and JaVale down there. That shit was out. Bro, we was switching everything too, Frank. So I'm switching on like AD.
Frank, like, yeah, I saw it, man.
JaVale. I'm hacking the shit out these dudes.
I was watching it.
Bro, I was like, man, what are we doing, bro? I should not be down here in this paint.
That shit was a struggle.
Bro, I'm boxing out, but we switch everything because we small. So I'm like out here trying to. I'm 6'4", 215, man. These dudes is 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet, 260, 270, bro. Like.
So that's just Austin. Okay, we get Austin. So basically, yeah, he was going in and he was talking about the Lakers and how tough of a team they were to play. So Britt Johnson, you're very vocal on having any player that you talk not positively, but to go in the way like what Austin was doing right here, to go in and compliment and talk about how tough of a team that they were to play, especially when they're a team that they're playing currently. So did you have a problem with Austin Rivers going that much into like kiss ass mode when it came to Lakers, or do you think that Austin Rivers was just speaking truth because of a question that was asked?
I mean, Austin Rivers doesn't have like a star mentality to him, so I don't see him like being the guy anyway that would be like, I'm the best player, I'm gonna whatever. Like he's far from that. He's always just like, I'm just gonna try to be most improved every year. Like he's very much like that kind of guy. And I mean, the series is over. Like they're not playing anymore. I didn't expect him to say that, like we should have beat the Lakers because we're better and yet. And I think the comparison of like he was mostly focusing on like the small ball versus like what the Lakers are doing and having the big guys. So like I don't think he was really. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it didn't seem like he was like kissing butt too much. I think it was just like the obvious. Like all season long, we've been talking about the Rockets small ball, and is that going to work? You can't have a center that's 6'5". Like that's crazy. So I think that's what it was. It was just like the build of the team, not like, oh, the Lakers are just so much better than us because we're just on this equal playing field. I think it's like, no, I think he's showing that he didn't like the style that D'Antoni was bringing with having this.
Yes.
Is what I felt.
Yeah.
I thought he was.
That's what I gathered too.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I completely agree. I think that was the real story right there, was the fact that he was pretty much just underlined talking about how much he hated how the Rockets were put together. That's what I was getting from it too. And then also talking about how tough the Lakers were. So yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I was just curious if you saw that, because I thought it was more of reflecting than him really kissing the Lakers' ass. I think he was just reflecting on how tough of a series it was, and that's why the Lakers are in the position that they are right now. So yeah, I had no problem with it as well. But yeah, Lakers, there's still people out there because they just love to complain about anything. It's rigged. Oh my gosh. But let's pivot away from basketball for a little bit and let's go to some football talk. Now, this one right here, we talked about it last week. We talked about how, Jackie admit that she was dry snitching on her siblings. But we got some Twitter user right here that was I don't like this. I don't like this at all. This dude came out and snitched on Jamal Adams when Jamal Adams caught what he did, fixed it, and moved on. But nope, that's not how Twitter works, because Twitter going to see it, and they're going to expose you on it. So, yesterday, for the Seahawks game against the Miami Dolphins, Jamal Adams he had to sit out because of his injury, and he wasn't able to play. But in perfect Prez form, he was there, front and center, helmet on, watching the game. So he put up this tweet originally, if we get the first one up, where he was watching the game, had his helmet on, and he was trying to feel like he was a part of the boys watching the game. Well, according to this snitch of a Twitter user, he decided to zoom in on my man Jamal's table. And if you look closely, don't look at his thighs. If you look closely, you can see there's a joint right there on an ashtray on his table. So, that's curious. Well, Jamal Adams noticed it too when he took down the post, and then he reposted a very similar picture right here. Looks the exact same. It's the same thing, same pose and everything. But if you zoom into the same spot, something's missing. No more joint. The joint is gone all of a sudden. So basically, Jamal Adams fixed the situation. Ooh, I don't want to be caught seeing this. But thanks to this guy right here who out here dry stitching on Jamal Adams, this picture went viral. And now who's to tell what happens if the NFL is going to take this serious and they're going to penalize him and whatever it may be because he was smoking some marijuana on his off day. Not off day. He was injured, so he was missing the day due to injury. But, Brett, I want to talk to you again about this. What do you expect the NFL to do something about this because this went viral? Because, people are this guy exposed him the way he did? Or do you think it's just going to be something that's just going to slide by?
That's what happens when you're a celebrity. You have to know that,
be
everything that you will be screenshot immediately. So even if you take it down and try to fix it, that's not going to work.
Too late.
The damage has already been done. Secondly, we do know the new CBA is in effect, so he will not get suspended for this. However, he can get fined, and he is still on that rookie contract. His base salary this season is $825,000. Yes, he has some incentives where he can make up to $3 million. But hope we don't find him too much because he's as much and as good as Jamal Adams is. We forget that he is still playing on his rookie contract.
Right,
he is a
very true
player. Not making that big money right now, so they can't fine him for the picture, but if they decided to do a random drug test on him this week and there's weed in his system, then they can fine him from that point, but he can't get suspended from it. So I guess it is what it is, but he needs to just be careful and look through his pictures next time.
Yeah, I'm still mad that's what he did.
Photoshop on the second one because I feel like he even cleaned up ashes. There wasn't even ashes.
Clean up ashes. The ashtray just like decoration rather than it being used. Yeah, I'm still mad at Twitter user though. Like, you're right. I understand celebrity was gonna get caught by somebody, but man, couldn't just let the man enjoy his day off. But it happened. You got caught. Let's see if anything comes of it. We'll see if that is the case. But sticking with the NFL, we had some drama in one of the most unlikely games because I think a lot of people may have forgot that there was some beef that was going on between the Giants' Golden Tate III and the Rams' Jalen Ramsey because there was a whole situation between the two where Jalen Ramsey was with Golden Tate's sister and they had two kids together. But here's the thing. They had the one kid, and while Golden Tate's sister was pregnant with their second daughter, Jalen Ramsey ended up leaving her to the point where Golden Tate was, as you'd expect, not very pleased with the youngster, Jalen Ramsey. Well, a year later, the two finally got to face off. The Giants played the Rams yesterday, and as you'd expect, being that I'm sorry, Giants fans, I have to throw a slide. Being that the Giants don't really have any weapons, Golden Tate is actually probably their best option. So when the best option is on offense, the best option on defense guards him, and that's what happens to be Jalen Ramsey. So it worked out perfectly because the two were on each other. Well, we know that the two had some words for each other throughout the game. There was a point where Golden Tate had a first down, and he had something to say to Jalen Ramsey, and they went back and forth, a little scuffle. And then after the game, they definitely had a little back and forth where the whole team, was trying to break the whole thing up, and it turned into a big old skirmish. But it all started because of Golden Tate and Jalen Ramsey. But this was something that's been brewing with Golden Tate for almost exactly a year now. If I can get this first tweet up, Leo. Like I said, this is the rundown of how everything was going on, and like I said, everything earlier. But earlier this week, Golden Tate had said that he's not happy at all with the disrespect that he showed towards his sister. So that he just left it at that, meaning that something was going to happen this week. But like I said, this thing was brewing for a year, because this time last year, a fan had tweeted this, saying that if I was Showtime Tate, I would have words with this young fella. And this is when it happened with the whole situation with Jalen Ramsey and his sister. Golden Tate responded, he going to have to see me. He didn't see him last year, but he saw him this year, and what happened had happened. I mean, even it went to the point where after the game, Jalen Ramsey didn't even go directly to the locker room. He stayed outside. He had his phone, and he was making sure he was waiting. He was expecting Golden Tate to come out so they can settle their beef or whatever he thought was going to happen. It was a whole thing. It was completely whole thing. Now I'm going to come to you, Devin, because you actually did this story this morning. Now, my question to you is simply this: I think we're all in agreement that it would be expected for Golden Tate to go out there and do a little extra as far as how he's going to play against Jalen Ramsey, because you're going to feel a type of way. That was to be expected. Sure, there'll be words. But do you think for Jalen Ramsey to, at least in my opinion, be in the wrong and then still try to stay after the fact and try and egg on more of a confrontation, do you think that Jalen Ramsey was wrong in that position, or do you think that all this is right where it's supposed to be? They should just fight it out and get it over with. What's your thoughts on the entire thing?
I feel like it's obvious in this situation that Jalen doesn't have a reason to be stalking the locker room and trying to night this all. Just apologize. You abandoned this woman when she was pregnant. Of course, Golden's going to be upset. You guys are not bros at this point. Why are you trying to continue this on and fight even more? I don't know. I think I said that in my story from earlier. Why even do this? It's just accept the loss, admit where you might have gone wrong, and move on. But don't try and do another fist fight over it.
Well, unfortunately, pride is a hell of a drug when it comes to the male. And I think that was the situation that happened here with Jalen Ramsey, because he's just look, I know I'm wrong, but I'm still going to fight your ass. I hate you, Golden, da-da-da-da. But Jackie Ray, I want to come to you about this same situation. Do you feel like, Jalen Ramsey is like everything like Devin just said, he was in the wrong and was even more in the wrong for trying to continue and escalate the situation, knowing damn well that he was the reason there is any kind of situation? Or do you think that Jalen Ramsey should he should be standing his ground? How do you feel about it?
No, I definitely don't think he should be standing his ground. But the fact that he was doing it and actually wanted to provide some sort of evidence if a brawl had went down, he had his phone ready. He was ready to record whatever went down. My first thought was, okay, this new little trash chick he's got, that she is probably don't. Yes, that's what I called her, and that's what I meant. So the new girl you got is probably saying something ridiculous like, "Oh, if they want to be that way, just take the kids." I don't know if I think that Jalen is smart enough for that, but I could literally see him saying, "Oh, let me get some video evidence showing that he's violent, and then I can use that in court to say she sicked her brother on me, and so this is why I should get custody." I felt like it had to be something deeper than that, because you don't have a leg to stand on otherwise. You should not be there. You should not be the one that's trying to have a conversation or hash things out or fight it out or anything. So I felt like he had some sort of malicious intent, and he wanted to video it for his personal gain. I'm not entirely sure what gain that would be, but I have a feeling it's somewhere along the lines of what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely it. I think that was on the point of exactly what it is. And it's messy for him to even have that kind of mindset. But again, that's a whole other world, because that's definitely what would be expecting a situation like that. Either way, the dude is wrong, and he just makes himself look even more wrong the more that this story developed the entire way, because he was fighting back. Obviously you got to defend yourself. I get that. But then there was situations where he was then not egging on Golden Tate. It's just yo, bro, I get it, you're young, but my God, Anyways, well, that happened the way it happened. I doubt this is the end of it, but for now, we're gonna have to put a little bookmark on this to see what happens next. But we talk a lot about masks when it comes to football, and we see coaches that can't keep the mask on. I was definitely the front runner in making fun of Andy Reid and his fogged up mask in week 1. Now, obviously, he fixed that problem from then on. All these kind of situations going on in masks, but something tells me that this dude's mask it may fit because of the team that you're rooting for, but I don't think this meets the criteria of what masks are supposed to be doing. This dude is a Georgia Bulldog fan. Now, the irony of it, he is a Georgia Bulldog fan to support the Bulldogs, and he is out there wearing a damn cone that a Bulldog would probably be wearing if they were fixed. So the whole thing is hilarious to me, but at the same time, something tells me that like Barrett said in the tweet, that mask cannot be CDC approved because the funnel is going right out to let the germs right out to whoever you're talking to.
Oh my God.
This is, but the irony of it, it's so perfect for me. But there's no way that's okay. That cannot be okay.
It's so funny. God, I can't.
just everything around it. Georgia Bulldog. It's just perfect.
Georgia.
No, I would love to see a head coach wear that and see if they can get away with that. But that doesn't count, my guy. It doesn't count. It's not working. You're still letting the germs funnel out. Anyways, I thought that was ridiculous. But speaking of ridiculous, we're gonna stick with football because I got something even more ridiculous. Now, growing up, I didn't really get any type of height up until probably like my junior year in high school. I was a short kid. I was a very short kid. That's why I played point guard my entire life with basketball. That's why I was a good shooter because like Steph Curry, you gotta learn how to do things you can't do. So I was not the tallest of kids. And so when I saw this video, I couldn't imagine being a 10-year-old kid facing up against another 10-year-old kid that is 6'2". Let me say it again. This kid is 10 years old and he is 6'2". Watch how this kid embarrassed these other players. It's unfair. Like, here's the video. Where else do you think the ball's gonna go? Where else do you think the ball's gonna go? Watch this video.
What are you doing? He good.
No.
I think we all do. Hey, get on the line.
Yes.
Get on the line.
You need a burst.
This is not right.
Look at him warming up. Like, what are you gonna do? You can walk. Look at it. No route at all. I'm just saying, give me the ball. Move. Excuse me.
Nice.
You make move.
That ain't no.
I need a birth certificate.
Yeah.
That's a 35-year-old man out there.
Donald Trump talking about where's the birth certificate.
Yes.
Yeah. Fact. Now being in the travel ball AAU wire with my little brother, we saw this all the time. We saw kids that were held back that were 19 years old playing in the 16U league because even though they're 19, they're technically they're a sophomore in high school because their parents held them back. So we saw this all the time. But that's illegal at some point. Like Jackie said, there's a whole 25. This guy probably finished that game, got in his car, and drove back home. I don't care.
Right.
He's not 10
his
years old.
Mercedes.
Cigarette on the side.
Right.
I only got
to his $1 million condo that he owns, with the Butler. It's like, stop playing games.
I'm so upset. So upset seeing this. Like I'm pulling my son mid-game. I'd be like, all right, Malik, come on. We heading out. We're not doing this. No, I'm not letting you guard him. No, come on, we're going home. I'm not doing this. Not like that is as absurd. I need a birth certificate proof that kid is 10 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways, but last but not least, we had a funny moment because, as you know, the teams that are not in the playoff bubble, like the teams that didn't make the playoffs, Knicks, Warriors, Cavaliers, all those kind of teams, they're in a training camp bubble in their select cities. And the Warriors, they had some time to shoot the breeze after practice, and a few guys, Damian Lee and another one of the younger players on the Warriors, took the opportunity to use the brand new Chase Center big jumbo screen to play NBA 2K21. And here's the video right here. Now, I asked some questions, though, because neither of the players were using the Warriors. What's that about? But here's the video.
Let's go!
Yeah, see, I see Pacers versus the Pelicans. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? You ain't got no belief in your team? I don't know what's going on. But no, I get it. I wouldn't play as the freaking Warriors every single time. I know damn well if I was like RJ Barrett, I'm not going to sit up there and play with the Knicks on the jumbo screen. I'm going to tell you that. So I understand. But yeah, I thought that was a cool moment. That's something I always want to do. I always want to just, I don't care what stadium it is. If it's Staples out in Madison Square Garden, I want to play a game of 2K on the big old – shoot. Take me to SoFi. I want to play a game of Madden on that big old Halo ring thing. That'd be so sick. I'll go. Take me to.
The Cowboys did that a couple years ago. Like Zeke was playing video games on because Cowboys have the biggest screen.
They have that huge screen. Right.
Yeah, and they were playing video games on that.
I want to do that so damn bad. I think that'd be so cool. But that's it for me on Post Up with all the craziness that happened over the weekend.
All right. Jackie, tell us what we not gonna do.
All right, guys. Once again, it's your girl Jackie Ray. We've got two things that we gonna have to talk about. What we not gonna do is make a whole big deal about this. So let's just dive right into this first one. Let me show you this video really quick. Let's just break this. Let's just break this Jimmy Buckets thing down. Now you can't. Our professional lip reader doesn't even really need to get involved. Devin doesn't even need to get involved on this one because we can all figure out exactly what Jimmy Buckets is saying. First, he looks at AD. AD and LeBron are walking away. As most of you guys believe, he was talking to LeBron and he goes, you in trouble as he walks away. Then he turns, he looks at his teammates and he goes, they in trouble. I think it's cute. I love Jimmy Buckets. I think it's cute. I'm definitely going to let him have this moment. But like I said earlier, I'm not going to put all of this on his fantastic game. Again, I don't want to take anything away from Jimmy Buckets. He had an amazing game. But if I didn't know better, I would think either the powers that be were anti-sweep. I saw some conspiracy theories on that one, like, they played like trash to extend the series. I did see another thing. A friend of mine actually works for an advertising company, showed me some stats that say when there's a sweep, especially in the finals, that viewership goes down. So extending this would actually be better for advertising dollars. So I don't know. I'm not really going into the conspiracy theories, but I will say this. They did look like they caught the Clipper bug. They looked like they started feeling like they were supposed to be there, that they didn't put, a lot of heart in it. I didn't have any problems, again, like I said earlier, with AD only scoring 15 points because that's the lowest he scored in the lowest he scored against the Denver Nuggets was 27 points. That was his lowest scoring game. And then against the Houston Rockets, he scored 13 points. But even in that game that he scored 13 points, he had like 11 rebounds and a block. I think he only had one block in that game, but he still performed well in that game. So obviously, sometimes we all have off nights. I'm okay with that. But last night, AD had 2 steals, but he only had 5 rebounds and he turned the ball over 5 times. He's 6'10". There's no reason why, if you're having an off night, you can't just live in the paint and produce more rebounds, especially those second chance rebounds that could get some more scores on the board. So this was one of those things where I felt like it was definitely more the Lakers' fault. Again, don't want to take anything away from Jimmy Buckets, but I definitely felt like it was more the Lakers' fault. LeBron had 2 turnovers. Both of those were traveling calls, which kind of boggled my mind because we've said it time and time again on this show that we're not even entirely sure that the refs know what traveling is because they let it go all the time. So this was just one of those nights that I'm just really not tripping on because I do think it's an easy fix. So I'm fine with this, but what we're not going to do is not remember how things go when people start getting a little cocky. So we remember when Dame got a little cocky and start waving by. We remember what happened to him. We remember what happened when Jamal did his little shimmy. So, Chris, my question to you is this the equivalent of the bye-bye wave and the Jamal Murray shimmy? Has he just literally jinxed his team?
So I mean, history, it happened in every single round. And if it wasn't that moment, it was the smirk by Tyler Hero. So you could pick either one of them. You could pick either one of them, but that could have been the death note for sure. I could definitely see that being the case. I hope not, because I want my 6-game series, so at least I called that right. But man, I don't know. That could be the death note. That could have been it.
Yep. I think it could have been it. So what we're not going to do is not say thank you to Jimmy Buckets if we just, go ahead and do this gentleman sweep, like I said. All right, let's get to this next one because As you know, the NFL is starting to have a COVID problem. My Saints almost didn't get a chance to play on Sunday because we had our fullback. Was our fullback Chris? Our fullback that tested positive
Yeah, that's what's
for
rumored.
COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, no one else tested positive, so we were able to move forward. If you watched the game last night, you probably saw that moment when Adam Silver was talking about what we can expect next season. And he said he was very cautious about saying what that looks like. I very much applaud him for that. He was open and saying that this bubble is great, but we need our fans back in the stand. But he also said that Major League Baseball and the NFL were doing a really good job in sharing information with the NBA as to what they could do. So we've seen the NFL definitely has a lot of data to share because my Saints almost didn't play because we had a player who tested positive, and they had to test everyone to see who was in contact with that person on the plane. And then we also had Cam Newton. We talked about that. He tested. Here's the thing. Let me just break this down a little differently because I think the NFL is getting us all a little maybe confused, because on Saturday they said that Cam was put on the COVID-19 reserve list. So that does not necessarily mean that Cam Newton tested positive for the virus. What it means is he might have come into contact with somebody who tested positive for the virus, and now he has to be placed on this COVID-19 IR list. So how does that work? Does that mean that maybe somebody in his family tested positive, and now since he was in close proximity with them, he's testing positive? Does this mean Josh tested positive, and while they were working one-on-one, maybe something happened? I don't have a clue. And Cam certainly didn't clear anything up, because when he tweeted about it, he says, "I never will question God's reasoning, just will always respond with yes, Lord." I appreciate all the love, support, and well wishes. I will take this time to get healthy and reflect on other amazing things I should be grateful for. So are you getting healthy because you're sick, or are you getting healthy mentally? There's just a lot of questions with regards to that. So now it's no surprise that a lot of coaches are wondering if they should continue the season. According to Pro Talk, multiple coaches have suggested this weekend the possibility of pressing pause on the season, reconfiguring the schedule to have 12 regular games, and putting teams in hotels for the 9 games left to play. Honestly, if you're going to do that, then I just say just call the season, because we see what's happening with no preseason game, people getting injured. We got turf problems, people getting hurt. If you're going to put this down to just 12 games, and we're 4 games in right now, I don't know. I just think that's a lot to do. And I don't know how if you're saying, okay, we're going to put them in like a type of bubble, does that mean when they go to this hotel, when teams aren't in that hotel, is it still being used by other people? Are we going to make this hotel go through these strict protocols so we know who they're? It's not going to work the same. The reason why the NBA bubble is working is because they're literally in a bubble. It's a facility that is not being used. It's not open to the public, and they're just there. We know a Kansas City Chiefs fan had COVID, but yes, they had the mask on. We saw Cleveland Cavalier fans fighting in the stands, and they didn't have masks on, not all of them. So it's one of those things where, are we going to shut it down and just make it a real bubble? And what does that look like? That's my question for you, Devin. If the NFL really wants to move forward with a bubble type atmosphere, you still have teams that have to go from city to city. They have to travel. What does an NFL bubble look like? And how does breaking down the season to 12 games change the fact that these guys are being exposed probably outside of practice? How does that change any of that?
I mean, I can't even really imagine how an NFL bubble of any sort would really work. And this is something that we've been saying for, since before the season even started, that it would be really, really difficult to quarantine every single player, especially because they do have to move around so much. There are so many people. I really don't know what the solution is, or what the options are, what that would even look like. It just seems like an incredibly difficult task, and something that, I don't know. I can't even answer that correctly or appropriately, because to me, it just seems like an insurmountable challenge to overcome.
Yeah. Unless they all came to LA, because I feel like SoFi, and then extend the season, and maybe you have 2-3 games a day. Maybe, I don't know. That's the only thing I can think.
Where would they
so I don't know. That's it. So I would think SoFi and Jerry's World, if you say these are the 2 places we're going to have, these are the only 2 places that we're going to have NFL games, I could see that working, because both of those they have the capacity to make that work. But yeah, as far as where they would stay, I don't know. So
I
don't know.
And the NBA bubble worked because it was like a limited number of teams and a limited number of players. I don't know.
Right.
I just feel like even if they were able to come to LA, it would just be so many people that they would have to be completely quarantined in hotels, like you were saying, that are not open to the public, can't be accessed by tourists, people visiting. I don't know. It seems really, really difficult.
Yeah, I don't know, but good luck, NFL. We're gonna obviously keep you posted on this because, like I said, there are coaches that are saying let's press pause for a second and regroup. So if that happens, we'll let you know. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. But that's all I got for what we not gonna do. Now, Chris, are you ready? Because it is time for Brit's takes.
Brit's takes.
Really quick, I just wanted to do. They did confirm that Cam did get COVID. They just said if he's asymptomatic, he's out for 5 days with 2 negative tests, and then if he does have symptoms, he has to be out for the full 10 to 14 days. But I was just checking on ESPN. They did end up confirming it because I know, Jackie, they didn't know at the beginning, but they confirmed he does have. So sad. But going into what I was going to talk about today. Which is kind of like the old saying, you just can't teach an old dog new tricks. And this old dog is going to be the Raiders head coach, Jon Gruden, who continues to not wear his mask properly. So a couple weeks ago, I talked about week 1 where they didn't have a handful of coaches that weren't wearing their masks properly. Matt Rule wasn't wearing his mask at all. And they ended up getting fined. Like I said, I'll get to these pictures in just a second just to talk about exactly what Jon Gruden has been doing the last 4 weeks. But the rule is simple. The second week after this happened, I read the rule to you guys again, and it basically said any coaches or NFL personnel are required to wear a mask. They were very specific on having to wear the mask over your nose and over your mouth because apparently the coaches didn't get it. So then now we're in week 4 of the NFL season, and Jon Gruden just can't seem to wear his mask properly. So he's already been fined $100,000. The team was fined $250,000. And now they are actually looking to get more consequences, as in they will be losing draft picks if they continue to repeat this offense. So we can start rolling these pictures of every single week Jon Gruden has not had his mask on. So this was during week 1, I believe. He clearly doesn't. It's literally just around his neck. We could keep pushing through these. And this situation, he's literally, again, around the neck. This happened this last week. He is talking to his players, very closely to his players. You're going to see some more pictures coming up where he's literally talking in the face to his players with not a mask on. And with Mike Mayock, he's here very closely in his face. Mike has his mask on, but Jon Gruden does not have his mask on. It is literally like crazy. After the game, he's talking to other people, like, again, handshakes, high fives, and Jon Gruden basically was talking about the fact that, like, I'm calling plays, so it's harder to call plays when I don't have a mask on. This, again, was from this last week as well. Not doing it during games, but it's very clear after the games are over, he's hugging people. He's gone up to referees, done all this kind of stuff, gone up to other coaches and whatever. And he just still doesn't have the mask on the whole entire time. Like, he'll have it like this. This was this week, which was the closest to getting covered on his mouth that he could get, with it halfway covering his mouth, but not covering his nose at all. And he just continues to not wear his mask properly. And it's not in a sense where, like, I get maybe you don't feel comfortable calling the play and you got to pull it down really quick, blah, blah, blah. But there are 31 other head coaches that have figured it out and have been doing it now because, number one, it's not just about you getting fined. It is about your team is getting fined $250,000. And now the Raiders are possibly going to be losing draft picks because of it. Like, it's not just about you. But he does think it's about him because he had said this week after people asked him again, why has he not been wearing his mask properly? He said, I've had the virus. I'm doing my best. I'm very sensitive about it. I'm calling the plays. I apologize. If I get fined, I will have to pay the fine. No, it's not just about you. And especially like we've already learned that just because you've had the virus doesn't mean you can't get it again. They've literally already said that. Like you can get it again, you can give it to other people again. Like, and if you did have it and if you are very sensitive about it, why are you not wearing your mask properly? Like I just don't understand. Like everybody else, yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's probably annoying, but you just have to do it. And this is like the most entitled thing I've ever seen, to like have a head coach literally running up to people after the games without masks on, being around all his players and stuff, being literally face to face with Mike Mayock, this close to his face. And Mike clearly has his mask on, but he's just spitting all over his mask with it. Like, it's crazy. And so we all know John Gruden. If you don't know this about him or know this about the situation, he is probably one of the most entitled head coaches ever, because right now he's the third highest paid head coach in the NFL. He signed a deal for 10 years, $10 million or $100 million. The only two that make more than him are Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll. And if you look back at the history of him coaching, yes, when he coached with Tampa Bay, they won a Super Bowl in 2002, but then he stopped coaching in 2008 and didn't coach for 10 years, didn't coach at all for 10 years, and then gets a job a couple years ago and ends up magically making more than all the other coaches in the league. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me, like a guy that hasn't coached for a year. And when he did coach, he was an okay coach. Yeah, he did win a Super Bowl, and then he went on to coach 6 more years and not do anything. So I don't know. Like, I just think it's crazy. And I think it's stupid for him to say like, oh, well, if I get fined, I get fined, because it's not, the whole point is wearing a mask is not about you. It's not about you at all. And now you're getting to a point where you're going to negatively affect a Raiders team that like, they're counting on you not only to coach, but to stay healthy and to make sure that you put the team in the best position possible to win future championships. Like, they didn't just go to Vegas and spend all this money on this brand new stadium for nothing. They want to win a championship at some point, and they want you to be the guy that does it, which is why they signed you to a 10-year contract. And we all know, I've told you guys before, every single head coach contract is guaranteed. So even if he does get like fired in 2 years because he hasn't managed to do anything with the team, guess what? He still gets paid his $100 million. So he's literally sitting in a place right now where he doesn't care. He clearly is not caring what it does for his current team or the moving forward, because now that NFL is like, what, we can't find you every week. What do we have to do now? Okay, we're going to start taking draft picks away. And like, for a coach to be okay with losing draft picks is like out of this world to me. My question, I'll go to you, Chris. Would a suspension be too heavy of a hit for not wearing the mask properly? Like, I don't know what else to do with Gruden, but is that out of your realm of like, that's too much of a hard punishment? Or what are your thoughts?
I think if you get continuous fines, then it definitely should be in the conversation, because the point of it is to discipline the person to stop doing what they're doing. So if you're going to keep taking money out of the pocket, you might as well take the whole bag, because he's not going to get any game day pay because he'll be suspended. So I think that, yes, I think that at this point, if you're going to keep going week in and week out, being suspended for the same thing, you should be, suspended. I don't think that's too outrageous, especially if it's happening. We're on week 4 now. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that that's outrageous at all. You know what I think they really should do? They should issue him a cone, because obviously that cone might have been the best solution for him, because then he can still get his spit out. And then he can say, oh, I'm wearing to cover my face. So we need to get him a cone. That's what we got to do.
Yeah. The cone just needs to be flipped the other way. You need to have this part, and then it needs to come down.
This way.
So, yeah, if we get him a cone and he wears it the right way, there we go. I'm happy with that. But it's just crazy. We're week 4, and this man cannot wear his mask properly. And now the team has they've fined the team several times for this and him. So the team's been fined over $500,000 now for this. He's been fined personally like $200,000 or $300,000, and I'm just like, you're costing not just yourself money. I get you think you got $100 million and your bag is good regardless, but like, you're costing your team money, and you're costing your team draft picks now. What coach wants to lose?
That's crazy.
Yeah, get it together, or not.
Right.
I mean, that's very Raiderish for you to do, to not get it together. So,
right.
He probably doesn't even believe it's a real thing. He's probably one of those people that think the COVID. So the thing is,
And that's the craziest part.
I bet that he's like, I see some people in the chat that are like, oh, it's just like the flu. I bet he has convinced himself that I had a bad run with the flu. It's not COVID. COVID's not real. He's in that group of people who just want to avoid the truth, unfortunately, because that's the only way you can explain that is if he just doesn't believe that he even had it. Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's crazy. Get it together, because like when you're affecting your players, you're affecting, like, Mike Mayock's pretty old too. Like, you're affecting like some guys in your like situation that are around you, and they're all wearing masks but you. Like, it's just like, it's crazy. And to be very clear, guess who played the Patriots last week? Raiders. He probably passing it on to Cam Newton, and guess who played the Raiders the week before? The Saints. Y'all got a player who got it too.
Yep.
It is all because of John Gruden.
It could have been.
I can definitely
get the man a cone.
Right.
An orange one. An orange one. I just feel like it needs to be orange.
He needs a mask that's like protected with a lock and key so that nobody can take it. He can't take it off himself. You have to use the key. Yes.
If I was the owner of the Raiders, that's what I would do. I would literally put him in like that. Iron Man. I'd put him in the Iron Man mask and
like that little moon thing. Just put one on that like locks in, like when you're like going into the ocean. Those giant ones.
Yep, that's what I would do.
Need that. You can talk as freely as you want.
John Gruden.
Yes, see, we've got ideas. We've got ideas for you, John. There are ways to make this work. You don't have to get fined.
Yep.
People watch Fumble. We know it because every time we do stuff, it happens the very next week. So you're welcome, you guys. We just gave you the idea. Take it. We won't take credit for it. We will take credit for it, but yeah.
All right, you guys, let's wrap up our show for the day. We'll be back again at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow as usual. So subscribe and tap the bell so you can tune in and join us live. We will see you guys later. Wear a mask, wash your hands. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.